Are we looking good?
Yes.
Both handsome?
Yes. Especially yes.
Within limits, you know.
Recording? Hello everyone, we're still here at the Polyglot Gathering in Bratislava, and I did an interview with Steve Kaufman a month ago here on our YouTube channel, and it became very popular. So today we have the opportunity to talk in person, and Steve gave a talk here at the gathering, and that was about how many words you need to know if you want to speak a language. Right? Steve, how many words do we need to know? Give us the highlights of your presentation for the ones who missed it.
Okay, there is no specific number. However, so it depends on your goals. If your goal is simply to be able to have polite conversation, order a beer, find the bathroom, you don't need a lot of words. Yeah. But if you want to have a meaningful conversation, adult conversation with people of a sort of who have similar interests and so forth, you actually need a lot of words. Yeah. Now, the number, I would say in English, around 15,000 words. 15,000 words. Because what do I like to do with a language? I like to get to B2. I like to be able to read history books. Literature is more difficult than history books, but newspapers, history books, those kinds of things, movies, you need a B2, and that requires, for English, 15,000 words, in my experience, and for inflected languages, that number then inflates to maybe 30,000, because or even more, because in inflected languages, of course, there might be 4, 5, 6 forms of the same word.
And with that you mean like languages like Russian or the Slavic languages?
In particular, the Slavic languages, to some extent, like I think there's a gradation. I think the Slavic languages are at the upper end, Korean is at the upper end, and then the Romance languages are somewhere in between.
Yeah. Okay. And what about Asian languages, like for example Chinese? I guess that number is much
it's less in Chinese, and Chinese, of course, has the advantage that if you have to learn the characters. Yeah. And I would say you need 4,000 characters. 4,000. That's the number that I use. And if you have 4,000 characters, as you know, what we call a word in Chinese is a combination of usually 2, sometimes 3 characters. So if you have 4,000 characters, with the different combinations of characters, you may in fact have a vocabulary of 20,000 words.
Yeah. Now the most important questions. How can we learn? What's the best way to learn new words if you like reading? How do you learn new words?
I won't say best, but the way I learn, I use Link, obviously.
Of course.
And I just think listening and reading, and in particular, I think reading is the most efficient way to increase vocabulary. I find that if I hear the word and I don't see it written, if I can't read it, I find it very difficult to remember. Even when I read the word, it's going to be difficult to remember. But I think a combination of listening and reading, and if you're using Link, then there's a review mechanism there that helps, for sure.
So if you like reading, or if you want to learn new words, then take a look at...
I would just like to add one thing.
One thing more.
That is that a lot of listening and reading is good for your speaking. I don't agree with the concept that people who like to read, they should read. No. People who want to elevate the level of their language generally should read. And even in their own language, people who do best in education, professionally, you name it, are people who develop the habit of reading. I feel it's very unfortunate when we see young people who don't read. Like, reading is just it's the most powerful app there is. More powerful than Link.
More powerful than Link. I do have to admit myself, I've learned a few languages as well, which you can speak pretty well, but then after, if you only speak, you get stuck at a certain level.
Exactly.
And I think it's like this B1, B2. And I've learned a few languages like Chinese, for example, which is B2, but in order to get to these C levels, it's really difficult if you only speak. So therefore, I actually started using Link.
Yeah.
I really like it. I really like it. So if you are stuck like at this level and you have the feeling that you cannot get any further, I haven't read a lot before, I would say try it out. And
the thing is, even if you're just speaking, if you go out with native speakers, there's going to be always words that you don't understand, and they tend to be key words, and it's very frustrating. Or you watch a movie and there's always vocabulary that you miss. So I think that for a long time, the vocabulary that you miss is a major obstacle to comprehension. If you have good comprehension, you will speak. There may be psychological reasons why you don't want to speak, or you're timid or whatever, but if you have good comprehension, a large vocabulary, the output skills will come.
Steve, thank you very much
Okay.
for these tips today.
Thank you.
And see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Link.com, you can find link there.
LINTQ.com.
That's it.
Thank you. All right. I appreciate the plug.
Thank you.
That was a good video, I think.
Yeah, it was very spontaneous. I think.